Welcome to our next speaker, Notburga Siller, Office for Museum and Museal Research of the Autonomous Province of Bolzano-Bozen. The title of your talk is quite interesting. So, questionable South Tyrolean cultural open data. Welcome on stage.
Thank you. Yes, the title is a bit provocative. I have to admit I've deliberately chosen this version. A word of warning. I'm an employee of the public administration. I studied history and communication science, and I stand before you as a digital layperson, perhaps even an amateur. The public administration supports via our office museums and collections through financial contributions and is committed to strengthening these structures. Among other things, the aim is to preserve important, movable, tangible and intangible natural and cultural assets of public interest, and to support museums and collections in cataloging and digitizing these assets for preservation, transparency, and accessibility. This is part of my daily work. We manage 2 databases, and as public administration, together with SIAC, have been offering machine-readable access to these open datasets since 2016. The first one is actually very straightforward. It's a directory of 160 museums, collections, and exhibition venues throughout South Tyrol. This dataset was originally created from a printed brochure with the aim of raising awareness and showcasing the diversity of our cultural landscape. The institutions are listed with this information and, of course, images and pictures. The list is searchable on our website. Once a year, the museums send us their updates, which are then published immediately. The data is also published as open data on the open data portal South Tyrol Alto Adige. This is the not problematic dataset. Now to the dataset I curate. This dataset contains currently over 310,000 object records from around 50 collecting institutions across South Tyrol. The data comes from museums, collections, and the audiovisual archives. It includes artifacts, artworks, photographs, videos, and audio recordings. Those are metadata about the objects and media files, mostly images. Each record clearly states which institution preserved the objects. Not all information, not the whole record is online, and every institution decides for itself what goes online. And behind this is one shared collection management system, Axial Collections, used by those 50 institutions. It's a free service provided by the provincial administration. We offer the digital infrastructure, support and advice, and integration into the collections network. It's a multilingual system based on existing national and international standards. Common standards must be used in the work, and each institution only sees its own data, but certain records, certain sections such as terms and list of peoples are shared. The data can be easily exported. For the public administration as a sponsor and for the individual institutions, this also means cost savings. A shared system and standards save resources compared to each institution running its own system. The collections management system also contains internal information like condition, location, value of the object that is not published. The list here shows central information that should be documented wherever possible and which is published when a record goes online. The objects are mainly described in German, a lot of them also in Italian, few in Latin, and some data exist also in English. As mentioned, standardized terms are used, for example, names of creators, which were possible. So that means they have to call the creator always by the same name. That's the standardized version. And when possible, those names are published with the date of birth, and death, and linked to international authority files like Wikidata, ULAN, and GND. The data is published on the provincial online catalog. It's also published on the open data portal South Tyrol Alto Adige. And for example, this interface is also used for the South Tyrolean meta catalog MyArgo BZ, and the National Catalogo Generale dei Beni Culturali also retrieves our data. But who provides this data? Those 50 collecting institutions, which is a large number for our small region. Most are small to mid-sized institutions, with the main players being the provincial museums, a big audiovisual archive, and the museum in Bozen Bolzano. There are city, village, and valley museums, and they have vast, extensive collections. They are public bodies, foundations, big and above all, small associations. More than 50 institutions means more than 100 users. The system and its predecessor has been in use for 17 years, so you can imagine that even more people have left their mark. And those who work with it are not always digital experts. The institutions differ in topics, approaches, resources, making standardization really difficult. The objects are described with varying expertise and backgrounds. Talking about the thesaurus, cultural terms are often ambiguous, translation is often challenging. Terms and concepts change over time. What was state of the art 10 years ago may now be outdated. However, the number of records in some institutions is too high to systematically revise them. Not all data was created in the system, some was imported from other programs with a different logic, or typed in from inventory books and index cards. The data is rarely complete, and it may lie dormant for a while, then it can be edited, corrected, revised, translated, or supplemented with new images. It is not static data. And to add, some preview files are up to 20 years old, which is historical. And this is the reason why I talk about questionable data. In 4 years working in this area, we have migrated to a new program, the website has been redesigned, and we are currently redefining the interfaces and thus the open data. My work is to work on the data. I'm the data curator, and my topic is the data quality, together with the users. Some are very active in this. I do not want to sound too pessimistic. Overall, it's not that bad, but it's far from perfect. In the recent months, I keep asking myself some questions that I cannot answer clearly. As I said, the users are diverse in terms of focus, approach, and resources. Cataloging collection objects of various kinds is time-consuming work that requires specific knowledge. The data is varied. There are many construction sites in the data. So I ask myself, how much centralized data quality is necessary, and to add, manageable? How much standardization can the institutions handle? How can such a diverse network be kept alive, active, and connected? Supporting this large and diverse group, 100 people, is challenging. It's really heterogeneous, and they sometimes struggle to find a common shared approach. My task is to control the data quality, but I do not intervene directly in the collection data. I do this in coordination with them. I try to build and foster a network through meetings and joint discussion. I provide intensive advice. But in museums, there's often still a proprietary approach to one's own collection. It must be protected from outside influences. And some prefer a solipsistic approach. Cultural work is often poorly paid, see resources, so there are often new colleagues, which means intensive training. And it's also very challenging to repeatedly explain the linked structure of a shared database in which you cannot directly see the data of the others. Sometimes there are comprehension difficulties. I could restrict the users' editing rights, but they are the ones responsible for their collection objects. They are the ones responsible for the data quality. But they often lack the time to work on the data. Collection work must often be done alongside other, more urgent tasks. Of course, you see on the right side, the question arises whether AI tools, which seem to be supposed to provide answers to all of our questions today, could help here. Yes, there are possibilities, but they are resource intensive and not easy to implement. I myself work with OpenRefine, and with our company, Axial, we have conducted an exploratory study on text-based data enrichment. But how can the quality of these results be checked, if not manually? And how can we find competent and motivated partners for this? Next question. Data cleanup and standardization are central issues, as I have mentioned. But this is also very challenging. We have messy data with contradictions. We have to live with that. The idea of clean and clean data is unrealistic to achieve. But is it still okay to publish all of this data, which contains uncertainties, mistakes, is incomplete? As I said, we are not talking about pastime tables here. Or should we limit the publication and only release polished state-of-the-art records? And how do we find the balance between the fact that museums are generally highly trusted, but we are publishing some uncertain, unclear, outdated data? How can we do justice to this trust online? Today, the public often expects completeness. Surely everything is online and lacks source criticism. On our web portal, the data is contextualized, but context can be lost when data is released as open data. Which brings me to challenge number 3. Is the open data approach still the right one for us? If all information is being harvested, decontextualized and remixed, should we not take a step back and act as gatekeepers again, protecting our data and information quality, and only publish a few but secure and clean pieces of information? How can we guarantee that the integrity of our data is preserved? That it is not used as evidence for invented historical events or cultures, that it is not distorted into hallucinations. Are false data being created on the basis of our data, which then no longer can be distinguished from our controlled, curated data? How can we ensure that our data remains meaningful, that it is not taken out of context and rendered meaningless? As you can see, I have many questions, but no clear answers. Maybe it won't be so bad. Maybe the network will help me. And perhaps I can expand the network today with this contribution. I leave you with my questions and hope for suggestions or tips. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Notburga. You put a lot of questions on the table.
Yes, I know.
Are there any other questions from the crowd?
Or answers.
Or answers as well, yeah.
Hello. I will just say that I have the same questions about the personal product of my work. And I ended up basically having a policy of deleting almost everything I had published online. So it's a hard question to answer when the digital commons is being plundered and you have I think the political aspect of your work didn't occur to me. So no answers, just saying a lot of us have the same problems.
Thanks for understanding.
You told me in private that one of the museums which participated has used or is using the data for a project. Do you have an overview how much of this data is actually used by third parties and in which way?
We have some statistics about the accesses on our websites, but we do not have any statistics of the use of the open data. We know that we are in some big catalog. We do not know where we are.
Because knowing that might be part of your answer, of an answer for you, to ponder whether it's better to leave the data out there or to take it back. If you see that there's a lot of positive usage, that might be a reason to publish it. If you see that it is misused or abused, that might be a reason to do the opposite.
Yeah. I personally am all for the open data approach, and museums want to be accessible. They have to be accessible and they want to be online. But sometimes it seems a bit dangerous. So, yeah, I do not have answers.